Alright, so this is going to be a video showcasing my first week of learning how to paint. To give it a little bit of context, I've done one study ever with painting, like it was a mountain, and that was probably 8 months ago, so I really have like almost no experience with digital painting, and I've never done any traditional painting. So starting off the week, I decided to do a wolf study. I spent about an hour on the sketch just trying to make it look right, and I couldn't quite pull it off, so I just eventually settled for this. This is the result of the painting. It took about 3 hours, and I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. The colors are not super accurate compared to the original, but I got it as close as I could. I think, yeah, the fur is not very well rendered, but it's a solid start. Next, I decided to do a cheetah. Here's a sketch. It took about an hour and a half. It's slightly more complicated with the teeth, and I've always found that felines are a little more subtle and difficult to draw than canines. So here's the result. I really struggled with the colors on this one. It was a bit harder than the wolf because the wolf kind of had three distinct, like the white, gray, and sort of red going on, whereas this was just a lot of different oranges and yellows. And with the body, like you can see the body is kind of just a blob. I really could not pull that off at all. It was just a complete mess. So yeah, but the face, the face is, I think I captured the expression a little bit. I mean, again, it's really poorly rendered, but yeah, I'm just trying to kind of develop some painting technique at this point. I don't really have really any experience with it. So I kind of wanted to start off the week with just a couple of animal studies just because I have a lot more experience drawing animals. But what I've really been interested in painting is landscapes. So this next one is an attempt at a landscape, and it is just, yeah. I mean, here's the sketch. I just went out and was like, oh, there's a cabin in the woods. It's just so picturesque, and you take a picture. And yeah, it was a really bad picture, taken at a terrible time of day, and here's the results of me trying to copy it. And it's just an unmitigated disaster. I mean, I got really discouraged after doing this one because it just nothing was working. It kind of really showcases my just complete lack of painting abilities. And yeah, it just looks like a freaking child could have done this. So anyways, I decided to kind of regroup, do a bit of research into landscape photography to kind of, learn a little bit of the fundamentals of that. And I decided not to take any of my own pictures. I just use pictures from the internet as reference. So my first, using reference from the internet here, I chose a very simple landscape just to kind of, not have a disaster like last time. And yeah, it was my first time ever painting clouds, and I guess they kind of vaguely look like clouds, so there's that. And the sky is somewhat accurate to what it looked like in the picture. And yeah, the colors aren't very accurate on the ground. Like the grass, it was kind of two-toned, and I couldn't really pull that off. So anyways, here is, a little more complicated of an image, and I actually painted this one in layers. All of my other paintings so far weren't in layers. So we have like the sky, the mountain, middle ground, and then foreground. And yeah, I mean, it was, again, like all of these paintings are really poorly rendered, but I'm getting a little better at color accuracy, I think. I did make a slight adjustment, kind of this foreground here. There was many different kinds of flowers, and I decided to kind of simplify it down to just two kinds. And I added sort of this dark patch to kind of give it a little bit of visual interest. I'm not sure if that was a success, but I gave it a shot. So at this point I decided, okay, this is just using reference. So I was like, why don't I just take this painting and try to just run with it, do whatever I want with it to kind of make it more interesting. So what I isolated that I really liked about this painting was the colors in the mountain. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use the colors of the mountain and sort of try to base the entire image around that. and this is the result. I went ahead and desaturated these two layers and then kind of shifted the hue to a warmer hue, and then, added a little fog or whatever just to give it a little bit of depth, and, a little gray here. And with the sky, I kind of had this idea in my head of like Jupiter atmosphere. When you see pictures of Jupiter, I didn't actually look at a picture of Jupiter, so I mean, this probably looks nothing like the atmosphere of Jupiter, but that was kind of what I had in mind, and I just, picked colors from the mountain and just kind of plastered them into the sky. So, yeah, I mean, comparing it to the original, I like this one a little better. Again, really poorly rendered, and some severely lacking, and probably some fundamentals and stuff, but, whatever. Gotta start somewhere. So I decided to do a rock study next, and yeah, this turned out really bad. I gotta work on my rocks a bit more. It's weird. There's something very unsettling about this rock study. So I decided to do another rock study, and this one, actually I really like this one. It's kind of loosely based off of reference. The general shape is sort of off reference, and then I kind of added this kind of downhill slope kind of thing, and then just little textures on the ground and stuff, just kind of experimenting with the painting technique, and just kind of using the reference as kind of an idea to gauge the highlights and the darks and little details and stuff. So yeah, another rock study. This one, just pretty much as much of a failure as the first one, I think. And I was kind of like, okay, well, what if, this really doesn't, it looks vaguely like rocks, and if you look at it in the thumbnail, it kind of looks like rocks, but when you kind of zoom in, it's just very lacking. So I was like, well, what if I just try to render it out more? So I kind of added little details and stuff, little cracks, and it really didn't help a whole lot. It's still just kind of, it looks like really crude rocks, I guess. So anyways, I'm coming up at the end of the first week of painting here, and I did this today, and then I did the next picture, which was, I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a landscape just purely from imagination, just doing whatever I want, trying to incorporate a little bit of what I've learned this week, and this is the result. So we have kind of, just some mountains, and I was really trying to just experiment a lot with this one. So if you notice, all my other studies really weren't super contrasty. Like, there wasn't a lot of dark value. It was all very light. So here I wanted to go with a lot more dark and kind of a more moody image. And like you can see kind of to the right, it just sort of like drops off into this abyss. And I don't know, like I really don't know how to... I do like it. I spent a few hours on this one, and I think it kind of captures what I had in my mind. And, I added these little shapes of like dark shapes to kind of give the abyss some sort of shape, because it just kind of looked like... Yeah. And I don't really know, like, this is not quite snow, yet it's not quite fog. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. What I did was, while I was doing some research earlier this week on landscape painting, someone was like, they gave this tip of thinking of your paintings as an abstract painting, even though it's meant to be a landscape. So I really kind of took that in this image, and really was loose with it. Like, I did a sketch of like these mountains and stuff, and kind of like, had a horizon here, and just kind of, building the scene generally to orient myself. But then after that, I really just started experimenting with light, and just sort of this kind of fog, kind of having it roll down into this abyss. And also kind of, it gets like light, it's kind of lighter here, and then it starts getting darker, kind of leading the eye over to this sort of kind of obscure, darker peak. And I guess I don't really know. This image kind of has, I was kind of going for two focal points. Like first you're kind of drawn kind of with this white kind of here, this main peak. But then, you know, there's also this secondary kind of more mysterious, obscured peak that's kind of taller, you know, given the horizon and stuff, and a little more obscured by clouds and stuff. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's a much more, it's very abstract, I guess, but I do like it. I do like it. And really, I mean, this week more than anything, like I didn't learn too much about color or too much about anything, you know, with painting fundamentals. I think this week was the biggest takeaway and the biggest progress, I think, was in technique. Like, I had never really done any real digital painting, so it was good to kind of experiment with brushes and sort of how to blend things and how to kind of build stuff. Like I use a lasso tool and then kind of fill things in, and so you kind of get sharper edges. And then I kind of dulled them a little bit because they were too sharp, and you know, just yeah, just experimenting. So yeah, hopefully I'll make another one of these videos next week. I really enjoyed this week of painting, and I'll definitely be doing some more landscapes in the future. Thank you for watching.